Hi, I'm Tiffany Domina. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my website is howtoentrepreneur.org, and my mission is to help you grow a business from idea to enterprise. So if you or someone you know wants to start or grow a business, definitely stop by howtoentrepreneur.org and check out my free e-course. It's a framework to help you grow your business from idea to enterprise. So today I want to talk to you about how to budget and save money for your business even when money is tight. So if you're looking for tips on how you can budget and save money for your business, you're in the right place. Here we'll be discussing some key strategies for how to save money for your business even when you might be in a strapped predicament. So according to Career Builder, 78% of full-time workers live paycheck to paycheck. Even those making $100,000 or more per year were included in these statistics. So what happens when a member of the 78% gets a big, grand idea that can infuse the economy with jobs and solutions? Well, they're strapped for money and they have to learn how to wiggle themselves out of bad financial health so they can pursue that dream they feel so passionate about. And that's what we'll be talking about here, how to wiggle out of being strapped so you can infuse our economy with the jobs and solutions that you've envisioned. So how do you know when you're living paycheck to paycheck? What's even more unfortunate about the statistics of those living paycheck to paycheck is that most people who are living that life, they don't even realize it. They may have sizable incomes and some have high-paying skills, and they might be comfortable believing they have a stable job, so they never analyze how each paycheck is completely exhausted every time. Or they could be products of a paycheck to paycheck family life, so it feels normal. However, if you find yourself saying any of these things, you might be living paycheck to paycheck. So these are some of the comments. You might laugh when you hear them. It might sound familiar. It might not sound familiar. But these are some signs that you might be living paycheck to paycheck. So if you find yourself saying, another overdraft, or I'm only this many days late, or I'll have to wait until my next paycheck for that, or I didn't expect my bank balance to look like that in a bad way, or I won't be able to afford that until next paycheck. So living paycheck to paycheck, it's also common to have strained relationships when you're living paycheck to paycheck. Billers may not want to lend to you. You may have marriage distress about finances. You may even have altercations with your friends about money. Since you don't have a surplus, borrowing money or letting others borrow money could also cause extreme strains in relationships. People who are more financially strapped than you may want loans. They may see superficial signs that you have money. Maybe you have a high-paying job, a nice car, nice clothes, and a full refrigerator. So they think you have a lot of money when you don't have a lot of liquid cash because you're strapped. You may feel pressured because you understand the illusion you've given off, so you're giving loans to keep up with that illusion. And when they can't pay you back, then you've got lots of friction. The fact is, when you're living paycheck to paycheck, you really can't give loans. And so let's try one more exercise. Let's imagine your bank is local and has one location. And there's a storm and the power goes out. The bank's systems are down, and your paycheck has just been deposited today. If the bank told you they would not be operational for another 30 days, would you be okay? Just think about it. If your next paycheck is critical to your sustenance, then it's likely you're living paycheck to paycheck. So being broke is normal. You hear it all the time on the Dave Ramsey show that being broke is normal and being debt-free is weird, because statistically that's true. And I get it. You have times where you think you can do everything in your head. The mortgage comes out on the first and you've decided to pay your car payment on the first too. So the quote unquote biggest expenses are out of the way. Then the smaller expenses seem too small to need to write them down or to think too much about them. Your card is just swiping and swiping, and before you know it, you've bought stuff on Amazon, you've stopped to get fast food several times because you were in a rush, you've gotten gas, and you forgot to factor in your vehicle registration or something that doesn't come up every month or every week or so often. Then before you know it, the whole paycheck is gone. So it's so easy to blow through money. It's almost natural if you're not careful. And the normal habits of American families are to scale up the expenses before the income. And I don't think they plan to do it that way. It just keeps going on. It's like a financial avalanche. The normal habits of American, or they simply maintain the mental budgeting habit, got the expenses out of the way, and spent more and more until the paycheck was gone. It's a really bad habit. We spend more than what we get and stay in bondage of debt, sometimes even for a lifetime. And for most of us, we calculate our income and our expenses purely in our head, and that's a huge contributor to how that cycle continues. So learning how to avoid the financial avalanche. In his article, How to Start a Budget, 10 Simple Steps to Get Started Today, Paul Scribs writes about how easy it is to get into a bind when we mentally budget. He said, I know that I should save that $200 to pay the phone bill in 2 weeks, but I want sushi today. And I know I get paid in a week, so I go out and buy me some nice sushi. Not $200 worth, mind you, but some super nice sushi because I know the phone bill is covered. The problem is, this starts what I call a financial avalanche. I was able to cover the phone bill, but then I was a little bit short on another bill, which I'll have to cover with the next paycheck. Now I can't take my wife out on a date like I promised her a month earlier, and the Vegas trip with the boys, still doable, but I'm a lot shorter on the vacation budget than I had hoped. A lot of problems occurred simply because I thought I could keep track of everything that needed to be paid in my head and figured that the future me would figure it out. Future me continues to look back at current me and wonder what the hell I was thinking. So, when we let the spending happen on autopilot and don't take a break to track what's going on, things get out of whack and we'll never be able to have money to pursue the dream that's bubbling inside. So you have to transition from that, those habits. And there's a big shift that has to take place to transition from being broke. The biggest shift will be in the area of discipline. The hardest thing to do is to tell yourself no when your embedded desire is to say yes. The hardest challenges require us to self-discipline ourselves, continually telling ourselves no even when we see alternative things we may want to pursue. Learning how to budget and save money is one of those character-building journeys where you become a changed person because you learn how to say no to immediate gratification so you can achieve optimal outcomes in the long term. To crack the code and leave the paycheck-to-paycheck life, you'll have to, number one, create a budget and start tracking your spending. So I know the word budget is like a bad word to many people. Most people think of it as limiting, and it's not meant to be that way. A budget should be liberating because you can free your mind from that constant thought, will I have enough? The will I have enough thoughts are just the worst, and even having to take the time and mentally calculate before you take different actions. It can really be, extra time and less efficient. So they're tiring, it's discouraging, and it's downright obnoxious. And you should budget to get rid of that thought alone. To create a budget, you can use an app like EveryDollar or Personal Capital if you want. You can skip the apps and you can use a desktop or cloud application like Google Sheets or Microsoft Word. It's really up to you, whatever you feel most comfortable with using. You can even, I just did a video on bullet journaling earlier today, and you can check out that video on how you can use a bullet journal to track your budget and spending. But the goal is that after a couple months, you'll start to see the patterns of your spending. You'll see how much you typically spend on fast food, how much you spend on groceries, how much you're spending on debt payments, what your normal utility bills are like, and areas that maybe you're weak in saying no. And you'll see patterns like that. And you'll be able to track your spending so that you can make decisions head on. So number 2, you also want to set targets of a maximum you'll spend on different line items. So after you know about how much is comfortable spending, you have to set targets. You may need to cut expenses to achieve your goals, or you may just want to be consistent. You may also need to build your hustle muscle and find ways to bring in extra cash flow. So some common budget line items people set targets on are like groceries, fund money, debt payments, clothing, and extracurriculars. Then those who want to take control of their cash flow and become better at making more money also set targets like make an extra $100 and grow up from there. So number 3, you can also learn some frugal alternatives. So after you've learned your normal spending habits and set some targets, you can start to innovate ways to stick to the targets by finding frugal alternatives. You can learn ways to save on groceries, learn alternative ways to cook, and other ways you can cut waste. Some common ways to switch to frugal alternatives are by cutting some or all disposable items, by alternating to generic brands for some items, by preserving food better with freezing, drying, canning, and vacuum sealing, by batch cooking or freezer cooking to cut on food waste, by meal planning. You can also do some couponing or using discount apps, growing herbs or other edibles, repurposing packaging rather than throwing it away. For example, like glass jars can become organizers or different things like that. You can buy things used rather than buying them new. You can buy in bulk, wholesale, or even discount shopping. So these are just some common ways to add frugal habits into the mix. So number 4, you can save the difference or make more money. So after you've alternated to some more frugal alternatives, you should have freed up some cash. The cash you've freed up can be saved. If you still haven't discovered any freed up cash because maybe your expenses were always greater than your income, then it's time to start grinding and making more money quickly. And Dave Ramsey calls this moving with gazelle intensity. So you may need to get a job, you may need an additional job, you may have to start side hustling or doing something to make extra cash. A business requires an investment and time to build enough traffic to sustain you. So in the in-between time, while you're getting your business to stand on its own, you will need to find a way to make more money. So a business starts with day-to-day habits. It also causes you to have to build a reputation, whether that's for you personally or whether that's a brand identity. But it takes a little time to get that trust with the market and to let people know about what product or service that you are selling, and to start getting the traction going. And over the course of that time, it's helpful to have your some basic things out of the way. So number 5, set up your emergency fund. So the difference that you've earned by choosing frugal alternatives, working a job or jobs, and side hustling should first be used to cover your emergency fund. Something can always pop up, like vehicle issues, appliance issues, health issues, and the list can go on and on. Unplanned things happen, and you want to have a buffer to prevent you from falling into debt. The buffer should be placed in an account where you can easily access it if an emergency happens. And if it's not recommended to put the emergency fund in an investment account because they typically take about 5 days to get the money to you if you need it. An emergency fund is supposed to be liquid. So if a tire goes flat, you can have an infusion of cash instantly. It's good to have at least $1,000 of liquid cash before trying to invest or save for your business. So number 6, set aside a fund for your business. You want to calculate what you need to start your business. If you're going to follow the $100 startup plan that I've written about in a previous post, then you have to have $100 of liquid cash beyond your emergency fund and living expenses. You can stash away the $100. However, the $100 is the bare bones startup cost. That's getting you your assumed name certificate, creating you a website, and things like that to start attracting the customers to you. It's using a minimum viable funnel type of approach. But after your foot is in the door, take a look at the essentials you'll need to begin getting traffic to the business on a larger scale. So oftentimes startup entrepreneurs focus their startup calculations on operations and spend a bunch of money on their client fulfillment system when in fact they have no leads yet. So it's most important that you invest your money into everything you'll need to start generating the leads. When you're saving for your business, think about everything you will need to begin getting customers. So some things may include a website, web hosting, training, advertising, networking fees like memberships, business cards, some other things like that, and content distribution. And after you have leads, you'll have to learn to convert the leads into sales, and the sales will pay for client fulfillment. The more sales, the more you'll have to invest into more lead generation, more lead conversion, and higher quality client fulfillment, whether that's your products or whether that's your service. Many internet businesses are comfortably living off of a startup expense load of $300 to $500 and are able to safely begin turning a profit within 1 year to 2 years, almost full-time hard work. So this is the really aggressive approach with putting the sweat equity into it. And there's businesses in the offline world that can do the same thing. The internet business models can thrive off of fairly low startup costs in comparison to their offline counterparts, but they require no shortage of effort to make them work. So check out some honest income reports for averages and be prepared to invest first and turn a profit later. So I've also done a video, if you're interested in online business, I've done a video on income reports from different online businesses that you may want to check out. And that post is also available here on How to Entrepreneur for you to check out. So number 7, you want to go back and fully fund your emergency fund. So if you have funded your $1,000 emergency fund and invested in your startup business fund, then it's time to go back and fully fund that emergency fund. You want to build up to 3 months of expenses, then build from there to 6 months, then to 1 year of expendable cash. This is your peace fund. So business fluctuates, especially in the beginning. Unplanned things happen. When you have a nicely stocked account with liquid savings that can cover 1 year of expenses, it can give you peace of mind. So when something unexpected happens, you know you're still taken care of. Sometimes the sales volumes can go up and down. Maybe you decide that something you're doing, you want to pivot a little and it might impact your sales volumes. At least if you know that you have this backup peace of mind fund, then you can pivot to find a comfortable approach for you in business. And also if something unexpected happens, like maybe a storm or something, and you're not able, or it puts your target audience in a financial position where they're not able to pay you, then you'll still be taken care of until things start to pick back up. So number 8, plan your job transition milestone. So once the 7 systems in your business begin to work well, and this is something that I talked about here, so I'll place a link in the description box below to this article so you'll be able to stop by and check out these resources that I'm talking about inside of this post. But in a previous article, I wrote about the 7 business systems that you need to make your business work. So once those 7 business systems are in your business and working well, and your expenses stay within budget, you should begin to regularly turn a profit. So at this point, you can start forecasting how much the business will generate monthly, because you'll start to see patterns and you'll know how to influence the patterns, what work you can do to spike revenue or see it fall, and you'll feel a sense of control. When these patterns are clear and your forecasting is getting spot on, then you can begin planning your transition. It's best to transition when the business is able to cover your expenses and savings with some extra cushion. So if you've got your savings and your business cash flow coming in, then you can transition peacefully without missing a beat. If you skip any steps, you may have a more stressful transition that could be unhealthy for you and for the business. So number 9, continue reinvesting from the profit into the business. So too many entrepreneurs see those exciting milestones, their first $200 day, their first $1,000 month, their first $10,000 contract, and they splurge. They remember everything they've always wanted to try, and they start spending too soon. So maintain the discipline for a while so you can solidify things first. Make sure your emergency fund is fully stocked. I know I'm repeating this, but it is important. Remember, as an entrepreneur, you have to plan for your retirement and for your health care. You can only invest a certain amount annually into your retirement accounts. When you start seeing additional cash flow and you can pay yourself more or give yourself benefits from your business, then consider covering your retirement and your health care. And save for scaling. You'll have to hire employees sooner or later if you want the business to grow. So begin saving for the help you need so you won't wait until you have a workload bottleneck. Also, budget to save for acquisitions that will improve the business. So don't be short-sighted. Finally, number 10, keep your disciplines as you scale. Simply because a business can profit $1 million does not mean the owner takes home that $1 million. If you have a vision that you'd like to use to impact many people, you will need a team, you'll need technology, you'll need equipment, and you'll need to continually increase your lead generation methods. And as an entrepreneur, you'll constantly have to be thinking about the vision and the mission of the company. So the income of the company has to be placed into a budget to ensure that you can scale. You'll need to plan the funding necessary for hiring, for plan the funding for office space if you decide to get it. Plan the funding for your supplies and other things. And discipline can't go away otherwise the business won't reach its maximum potential, helping the people that need it. So I have some other recommended reading for you to check out. These are meant to be inspirational for you, to show you other people who have gone from being in a strapped budget, who started a business and were able to become very, very successful. One story like that is Lisa Nichols. I have her bio and some quotes from her so you can understand her mentality and what she did that took her from broke to a multi-millionaire. I also have the bio of Damon John here. So he went from poverty to wealth as well, and now he's a very well-known entrepreneur who is also an investor in startup companies now. So, and then I have another post on the Dave Ramsey budget and how to use it to fund your business. So definitely check out the resources included in this post. I'll leave a link in the description box to this post, and you'll be able to stop by and check out all of the resources that you're interested in here. So as some final words on how to budget and save money for your business. Living paycheck to paycheck and wrestling with a business idea can be a challenge, and it can be stressful. The goal of this video was to relieve some of the stress by giving you some direction to get started without losing your family, getting your utilities cut off, or eating only beans and rice. But ultimately, entrepreneurs have to take the sacrifices necessary to bring their idea to the market. So if you're interested in starting or growing a business, check out my free e-course. It's a framework to grow your business from idea to enterprise. And you can check out the e-course by either going here or in the top level menu on my website. You can see free e-course there. So now it's your turn. What are your thoughts on saving money to start a business? Have you started a business using your saved money? What was it like? What tips would you give someone who is living paycheck to paycheck but wants to start a business? Leave your comments, questions, and feedback below. And if you like this video, please leave a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more like it, where I do product and service reviews as well as buyer's guides and growth strategies to help you grow a business from idea to enterprise, then subscribe to this channel and click the bell icon so you'll have notifications of upcoming videos. So that's all I have for this video, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I really hope to see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye.